Greetings, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us today. Today, just to make sure that you're in the right place, today you are in the Zoom workshop. It's called the OLLI at CSUDH Zoom training workshop. And it's not a complete training, just to let you know. It is here to give you a concept and a basic idea of how to use the Zoom application on the CSUDH platform. You should be in meeting 973-7475-9859. Today, from the OLLI office and College of Extended and International Education, you have myself, Nicole Picata, your interim OLLI coordinator. You also have Hema. Hema is our student assistant, our lead student assistant, and primarily OLLI assistant that has been taken, that we've been using and has been helping us. She's been helping us. So I appreciate that. We also have on our call today, Anissa Barton. Anissa is our social media specialist. She is in the marketing department with the College of Extended and International Education. And you also have Arvin Lambinicio, Lambicio. Arvin is our tech specialist, our Arvin, I'm not sure of your exact title, but what Arvin is responsible for is he's responsible for the all of the audio visual that you see here in the extended ed. You'll be really happy when we get on campus to see all of the work that Arvin's been doing. Arvin currently supports the student assistants in IT, which many of you have come to know. They help you get your PowerPoints up, do the lightings in the room, unlock the rooms. So that's Arvin's supervisor. So we're really, it's really a pleasure to have them both here taking the time to support the OLLI students. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Anissa and Arvin, and they have a presentation today. And I'm muting myself.
So Arvin, I'm going to let you start off.
Okay.
And we're just going to be kind of tag teaming. We're going to try to, we have a presentation for you guys, but we want to make sure that we're addressing the questions that you have. We want to make sure that you're comfortable, that by the time this is all done, you're feeling empowered with what we're presenting you today. So we're going to start off with a little bit of technical background and then get into more of the Zoom specific questions. Arvin, take it away.
So let me get the, I'm going to share a slideshow that's been prepared. I'm going to go ahead and share that with all of you. Oops. As you can see, with sharing PowerPoints, it's a little weird too, but here you go.
There you go.
And so what we've created is kind of just like an overview of how to use Zoom, what it means to protect yourself as well in these times where we're having a lot of Zoom bombing. What that is just people unwanted, you know, it's like people coming to a party uninvited. So that's really what it is. And so as far as with technology is concerned here at CSUDH, we have your access to Toro Mail, you have Blackboard, and you have Zoom as part of being part of the campus. You'll have access to that. When I'm going through this, Anissa, if you have anything to add, just jump in. And as far as these three systems, we do have, the campus has security on all three of these. What we're going to be talking about, just to preempt you, is just single sign-on and security as a CSUDH network. It's a lot easier to protect versus having just a Gmail account or a Yahoo account. You'll have those kind of securities in place. So as far as what we're all here for is for Zoom conferencing 101. And this is just a brief overview. And if we ever want to delve into more of the details of Zoom, you can always set up a more advanced Zoom meeting with this, or at least you can touch base with myself or Anissa to get more information. And so we'll start out with security and privacy first, and then how the campus keeps you safe, and then how to keep yourself safe as well. Because most of the time, as we've gone into the digital age, a lot of the things that allow people that are unwanted is to have somebody make a mistake and by clicking on a link or stating that this information out into the social media world. So for Zoom, there's a lot of things that, and I have to say, Zoom has really stepped it up in terms of their security. They've, in about a month, I've seen 4 updates on their software. So they've added a lot of security levels, and a lot of it is being able to manage who comes in and who stays. A lot of it is from being able to not join before the host, meaning if Nicole wasn't logged on, it used to be that people who are invited are able to log on before she gets in. There's something called waiting rooms, meaning it's like a waiting room at an office. You go to the reception area, you stay there for a little bit, the receptionist asks and says, hey, who you here for? You know, it's kind of like that in a virtual sense where you're not logged in yet, but people are seeing that you're coming in. And that's one of the features that Zoom hasn't had before as well. And as far as like managing share screens or anything like that, the host has control over what gets to be shown. As far as like the PowerPoint, those kind of things, it used to be kind of a Wild West where everybody who's in the meeting is able to. Other things, as far as management, like if a person is just getting disruptive, or if there's a person that got in for some reason and was not wanted, you can actually put them in the waiting room or leave them out of the meeting. Other things like private chats where people within the group can start talking to each other and start asking questions without the host knowing. Those can be controlled as well, because in this space where it's just a one-to-one, especially if you're with a Zoom meeting with strangers, it's not common where, oh, hi, my name is this, and what do you do? And they try to ask like some personal questions about it. But in this OLLI group, I feel that everybody knows each other, and private chats are actually a safe space. Versus when you're having a Zoom meeting, when it's not, or it's like it's been given by another company. A lot of people come in at like a conference, and you try to network, but then sometimes it's that kind of networking is not wanted. So those private chats are actually controlled by the host, if that's the case. And one last thing is that Zoom never had this before. You can actually lock down your meeting, meaning, so say for example, we had a 1 o'clock today, and people are running late, and you have a window, just like how I grew up in class. If the instructor is not there in 15 minutes, you get to go home, go to your next class. Or if the student is late, then you're marked tardy after 15 minutes. With locking your meeting, you can actually lock it so that nobody else can come in after such time. So those are some of the securities that Zoom has implemented just in the few months that we've been using it.
Along those lines, some of the questions that are coming in, we had a question about what is the waiting room and how does it work, or where is the waiting room? When each of you came in to join the meeting today, none of you came in immediately. You were all placed into what we call the waiting room. It's like a concierge service or the bellman at the door. So we had to physically look at your name, identify you, and see if it was appropriate for you to be admitted into the room. That is the actual waiting room. And that's on now by default with all of the current Zoom settings. So it's a great way to protect and make sure that only the people that you want to enter into that meeting are getting in, because you're actually controlling that door, so to speak. There's a question about if you can, this person can, Sally, you can hear the meeting, but she's unable to be heard or seen. Currently at the moment, we actually have everybody muted except for Arvin, Nicole, and myself. That's to prevent a lot of background noise as people come in. Sometimes there's dogs barking or doorbells ringing or kids running around, as were happening in my household a little bit earlier on. And it just makes it a little bit more controlled to have the volume controlled where we can hear what's being stated and things like that. So if you are unable to speak using your mic when the mics are not muted, then that may be another control issue, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Delina has a question about Zoom recordings. So that's what we would consider an advanced question, which we will answer just a little bit later on. For those of you who are thinking about doing your own Zoom meetings, you do, as OLLI members and as Toro Male Dominguez Hills students, you do have the ability to create and manage your own Zoom meetings. So once those are, once you've established your own meeting and you hold it, you have the ability to record as we're recording right now, and then be able to come back and watch your finished recording a little bit later on. Those Zoom recordings are located, they're stored either on your computer or what we call in the cloud. These accounts, I don't believe, are allowing us to store in the cloud, so we'll talk about local storage a little bit later on. But for the meantime, if you have any additional questions, feel free to use the chat. If you are using the control bars at the bottom of the Zoom window, you should see reactions. Since our mics are muted, but sometimes we want to get a little feedback from you. If you see reactions, can you give me a thumbs up and let me know that you see them okay? Okay, and I'm looking through the list. I see some thumbs up. That's working pretty good. All right. Okay, if there are no further questions, we're going to proceed to the next slide.
And so these are real concerns that we do find, and especially in the space that I'm working in, this is every day, every minute, every second. And it's something that I go to sleep, I worry about it, because it's like, is our data safe? Is our recording safe? And really, it all comes down to me knowing that there's people using these accounts, and it's the people that I care about more rather than the data, because they can also get hurt by this or have some sort of trauma. Because I know I can share this with everybody. My mom was actually a victim of personal identity, where someone had taken her credit card and all her accounts and was able to get through that, get more information about her, and start using it. And so it took about 3 years of her life to be able to kind of get out of that. And so it is a real threat, and it's something that I try to keep myself abreast of, because this kind of stuff is really just I can't really catch up to it, but we try to do what we can, and as far as protecting ourselves, we can start from there.
And this screen, actually, if you don't mind hopping back real quick, that comment is an actual real comment from an OLLI member who had concerns about what happens when you install certain things on your computers or on your devices, and fearing that doing an installation, especially given hearing these concerns about Zoom and Zoom privacy and Zoom bombing and these kinds of things, that they were putting themselves at risk. And those are absolutely valid questions that you should be asking anytime you interact with any kind of computer device technology. And it's just being knowledgeable and aware of what the situations are and how to best protect yourself. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Okay.
Now we're kind of going into more of how to use the Zoom, and there's a link on this PowerPoint, watch the Zoom meetings in 101. And Anissa, did you want to play that?
I will actually, no, because that's actually a full webinar.
Oh, okay.
Full Zoom session that was recorded about how to use Zoom. So I will put a link in the chat in just a moment to that particular display. And then I believe Nicole will have the link to go out in a future newsletter, OLLI newsletter.
We'll put that out this week, Anissa. Yes.
Sounds good. Okay.
And so with Zoom, you have a bunch of, I guess, interfaces that you can use. There's a sign-in screen. There's one for the app and also one for the browser. So there's two ways to log in there. Session interfaces is kind of something that all of you are familiar with. You get to see what's going on now. That's actually a lot of the controls that are given to you by using Zoom. And then, like I said, with connecting to Zoom, it's actually multi-platform, meaning that you can use your computer, iPad, your phone. And I've seen this actually done on like some sort of Chromecast. But you know, it really all depends on how you want to connect and how you want to communicate with everyone. And there's a lot more things that you can use with Zoom and all the devices that are out there. I think there's not really any limitations in terms of what kind of phone you have. It really all depends on how I guess the operating system, meaning how old is it. I've tried it on Windows 7 and it still works. But I haven't really gone back in terms of like iOS, where it's like on an iPhone 7 or even 6. But but with the Android, I think it goes all the way back to the different versions back 2 to 3 years ago. So
right, I have an old iPad 2, not second gen, an actual iPad 2, and it works perfectly.
There you go.
It does go pretty old school.
It goes pretty way back. So in terms of that, it's more like testing it out.
Okay.
And so now with this, you have a choice, whether it's the web or the app. For me, it's really just a preference. On my side, we do host a lot more, so I do like using the app a lot more because there's an interface there that we can get to, schedule things, join from there. However, the web version actually gives you more settings that you can control, and that's really where you can get really deep into how you want to construct your Zoom meetings and how to protect others.
And along those lines, you can go ahead and hit the just tap on the slide. You'll notice that the screenshots that are included here are the ones from the campus Zoom login, as opposed to a regular Zoom login. So you might hear people say, oh, just go to Zoom and you can put in your meeting ID and access whatever meeting you want to join. The difference here is if you're going to our campus Zoom, it will actually have the campus branding and the campus look and feel on it. And you'll know that you're actually in our protected environment when you're coming in through this particular login. So the address difference is instead of typing zoom.us, you would just type CSUDH.zoom.us, and that would automatically put you into this environment. Okay.
And there might be some questions about your Toro Mail account. If you do have any questions about those, I mean, I think, and I'll call Jeffrey out on this one. He asks me a lot about those things. So we have a conversation and I try to help him out, trying to get those resources on campus. with that Toro mail.
Okay.
Anissa, any questions in the chat so far, or?
We have a few questions. Some of them would be considered a little more technical questions about recording.
Okay.
Question about upgrading your MacBook in order to do the virtual backgrounds. Oh, I know exactly where this is.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
We're going to address
We'll talk about that
in
later.
just a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
Because those really get technical, and in terms of having green screens or at least the background. Yeah, you'll need a lot more graphics powerhouses to be able to do those kind of things.
We have one more question about reactions.
Sure.
I think someone said they couldn't see their reactions. Could you ask another if you can react? Could you react?
Okay, so for those of you who are looking to add the little thumbs up or a hand clap emoji on your screen, what you can do is look down to the bottom on the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of the screen. You'll see microphone and camera, and you might see participants, chat, share screen, and then reactions should be a part of that collection as well on the far right side at the bottom of your screen. And when you have that reactions, they'll give you the two options, the hand clap first, which looks like this, and the thumbs up, which looks like this. So I hope that helps, if everybody can see that okay. If you found your reactions, please give me a thumbs up. All right, there we go. Okay. Let's see, is there a number to get help getting on Toro Mail? There is a help desk, and I'm going to include the links at the end of the slides as well. And you'll be able to access it. You can call in, you can use their help desk website. They're very helpful, and they also respond via email as well.
And members can look in their OLLI weekly, and we give a link that will take you directly to that web page, even where you can put in your own IT request.
And also, when you do call this number, it's campus IT, and you may not get my voice on there, but if there are things that you want to ask about in terms of the CEIA college, those I can answer more clearly. But for overall technical or specifics on like accounts and things like that, campus IT have the servers and control over on those. And so this next slide.
Arvin,
yes.
Mimi has a question. She has her hand raised.
Oh, go ahead. What's the question?
Mimi, you're unmuted. You can answer your question.
No, I was playing around with my Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's
okay.
good. Curiosity, that's good.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Arvin.
And so just continuing on with the slideshow, this is the web, the app interface. Before, this is the web interface, and that's how you get onto a meeting or sign on. This is actually the app. And it's also different on the, not so much different, but it's a little different when you're on a device. It's just squished up a little bit more of like a column rather than having two columns next to each other. I want to kind of look over the interface here. You have the chat feature, something that we use here at the college because it's a lot faster than email. And it's a lot more secure because we know that it's us, it's not someone coming from outside. There's also meetings and contacts that we can populate. Meetings are more like, as you can see at the top here, it's kind of giving you a notice of when your meetings are happening.
Mm-hmm. That little calendar comes in really handy when you have a lot of Zoom meetings going on. Okay.
And so here you can actually rename yourself as well. Like I think a lot of when we have our college meetings, a lot of people have fun with it because it's like, depending on their background, they get to rename whatever it is that they had. An example is we had one of the staff members have a screenshot of, what was it? with Tom Hanks. What was it?
Oh, it was from Castaway.
Castaway.
It was Tom Hanks and Wilson.
Yeah, and so she renamed herself as Wilson. So people get a kick out of it, and then have some fun with the application that we're using.
I just renamed myself That Tech Girl Anissa, and you can see it at the bottom of my camera, and you can see it on the participants window on the right side of your screen. So that gives you an idea. And you're welcome to actually rename your own accounts at any time. It doesn't have to be just from when you're joining the meeting or when you're first logging in. You can actually do that from the participants window as well. There's a little button that will pop up that says more on the side of your name. And inside of there, you can rename yourself. And for those of you who are really curious, you can also add a profile picture. When you do that, it will bring up a web browser and will allow you to choose a photo and upload to your account. And that's the permanent picture on the screen that my mom just asked about in the chat. Okay.
So this is where you get signed in, and especially if you have a Toro mail, you'd want to use the sign in with SSO. I think when you have a personal account or something that is for free or signed on with Zoom directly, then you use the one on the left where it says enter your email and enter your password. With sign in with SSO, it really is just taking you to the CSUDH single sign-on. And let me just go back to this.
Can you go back to the previous?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to this other one. And so with Zoom, you can actually tie this application in with your Gmail or with Facebook. But those kind of things you want to keep at bay, just because of how social media really is. It's like, don't take screenshots of your meeting so that everybody else can know where you're meeting at. And those are the kind of things that people who want to do harm can actually find information. So try to stay away from those. But if you're okay with the circle of friends that you have with Facebook, I mean, by all means, those are the kind of things you have to watch out on your own side. But go ahead, Anissa, did you want to say something about?
Oh, that was exactly what I was going to. I just wanted to highlight, if you were coming in and you hadn't signed in and you want to use your Toro mail, this is the one that you're going to be referencing. So when he said single sign-on, that's what SSO is referring to. That would put you in with your campus ID. Okay.
And that's the next slide that we have here. And really, what single sign-on really means is it's just a added security that the campus has implemented. I mean, this goes on for a long time ago, where you have an account from the campus and it's given to you, and you're able to access a lot of systems from there. One way to get some sort of security is that knowing that this person is actually has a legitimate account, and making it easier for the servers to kind of authenticate you on the network. And really, this infographic really shows what single sign-on is really used for. A person, like anybody who has a Toro mail or anything, goes through that single sign-on, and then now you're able to get to your Blackboard. Now you're getting access to Microsoft Office 365, or even just like anything from the for Zoom. You have these applications that the server recognizes as giving you access on the network. And I want to kind of stay on this one, because if there's any questions on the chat, let me know, because single sign-on isn't an easy topic to talk about because of just all the technical jargon that comes along with it. But it really is, this graphic really shows what it's supposed to do.
So I think with our single sign-on right now, the majority of our members are not using their Toro sign-in. They're doing this on their own and just using the Zoom ID to go in. So I'm not sure how many of our members, I think we may only have 2 or 3 members who may have even accessed this. They're my CSUDH, anything.
I see. And then if you wanted to make a Zoom session about that, we can go over that as well in the future.
There's a question, is that a one-time sign-on, which is what that was from Mr. Lina?
In retrospect, like how the system is working, it really is just, it's not just one single sign-on. It really is just one account for all those systems. I wish it was like that, but I think they wanted to have that added security. So if you logged into your Office 365, you will be asked to enter your credentials once more for that system. And I think it's by default that this is how it is. However, it only takes one account to get to all of those. And I think the next slide that we'll have is going to show the advantages and disadvantages of it. And so I'll move on from there, but I hope I answered that question. It is just one account for different systems, not necessarily one login to be entered, and then you're free to go.
And currently, OLLI members do not have Microsoft Office 365.
Right.
That is something that's not offered to non-credit students.
Oh,
so that might be something, if we hear from our members, you can request it and we'll see what we can do about it. But at this time, the licensing does not extend it to OLLI members.
However, the flip side of that is that they are extended the Google working space, which is the Google Apps, Google Drive, which includes Calendar, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Google Slides.
And the OneDrive, Anissa?
Email service. OneDrive is part of
the Microsoft.
But the Google Drive and Google Docs is part of the Google version of the Microsoft environment.
Through their Toro email?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you're ready for the next slide.
And this is all the advantages and disadvantages. And this is just a small list of those. And if you're like me, I actually look at the disadvantages first, but it doesn't address some of those security levels where if the availability is lost or the credentials for that account has been taken over, there are some repercussions for that. However, if you do get to that point, it's more of like a call saying, hey, my account has been hijacked, please, shut it down. And it's a lot easier for us on the IT side to be able to lock down all those systems all at once. And so it's really a double edge on how this technology works. And I just want to let you know, as far as like, one thing that happens is that this last part here, where it says, it leads to fewer complaints or trouble about IT passwords at the IT help desk. I mean, I just added that in just for levity, because it is something that I kind of take care of as well. If there's systems that are compromised, it's a lot easier to lock down that account rather than locking down all these other systems that people use. And it's a lot easier for us to manage and a lot quicker for us to respond to if there is something that is hijacked. So moving on.
There was a question about how to sign in with single sign-on. So if you don't mind,
I'll go back
2 slides, I think it is. One more?
One more.
Let's see. One more? So when you click on this sign in with SSO, it will open up a little window that says what is the organization that you want to connect to, and you would literally just type CSUDH. And as soon as you click that, then it will take you to the next screen that Arvin has, which is that one. And then you would put in your Toro Mail username, which is usually your first initial, your last name, and maybe a number after the last name, and then your password. And all of those should have been provided at the time of your first registration or at the time of your membership joining into OLLI.
So what was provided, Anissa, for everyone, their username was not, they received their student ID. OLLI members have not taken advantage of their username nor Toro email, none of that. We're trying to educate and give everyone that. In their weeklies, we do give a link that goes to the campus IT.
Right. And I see Denise added, when I sign into my Toro Mail, it takes me to where I can click on Zoom, and then it takes me to the authentication page. That's exactly correct. So our campus systems are always trying to make sure that you are who you say you are, and that when you're coming in, that you're in a protected environment. Okay. Skip ahead. Okay, so you guys have taken in a lot of good information. How do you feel so far?
It's a lot to take in.
Give me a thumbs up if you're okay. And if you're not okay, use that chat and ask us some questions. So the terms that we've covered up to this point, we've talked about chat. We've talked about, we haven't talked about a meeting versus a webinar. You all are participants. You are attendees of a webinar. This is a webinar type of setup. Actually, this is a meeting setup. We're only at 40 right now. Usually a webinar is a much larger audience, but the key difference between a meeting and a webinar is that right now, if I unmute all the mics and I take off the screen share, we can see everybody's camera, your views or your name. Everybody can speak into their mics and we can all hear and participate together. With a webinar, it is a solo or a set of presenters who are presenting information, Arvin, Nicole, and myself, and we're not able to see your cameras. You're not able to share your screens or your cameras, and we're presenting the information. It's a one-way communication. So that's usually the difference between those two. Everybody here has been able to mute and unmute their own microphones. You can stop your video. I have just now stopped my video, and I have a profile image which is currently taking the place of my video camera display right now. And when I start the video again, it allows me to return and bring that up. My profile is built into my Toro Mail or my campus email account. There are options for you to be able to change your profile information or to update it, but a lot of that key information is tied into your registration as an OLLI member through the campus security systems. So they're trying to make sure that everybody is who they say they are. Okay. Again, we talked about what your screen name or your username would look like, and I renamed myself in the profile. I'll rename myself back. Anissa Thompson. Anissa T, that's what most people know me by. So you do have the ability to change your name, add, and even, this is a question that we get a lot. If you're on a cell phone, different phones, sorry, my display is weird there, an iPad, a tablet, a Galaxy Tab, a Galaxy Note, those devices have just about all of the same controls that we have here in the web display. So you do have the ability to open a participants window, to open a chat. You don't have as much room to see everything all side by side, but all of those options are available. You can see the participant's name. You can rename yourself. You can do reactions, the thumb claps and the hands and raising hands and things like that. And then in the chat, you can type in whatever information you need as well. So they've done a really good job of making sure that the platform is consistent across as many devices as possible. Okay. When we talk about advanced subjects, synchronous versus asynchronous. Some of you guys may have heard these terms in classes or maybe in watching news reports on media about going online and things like that. And I wanted to make sure that everybody knows what that really means. Synchronous, meaning synced, meaning connected together at the same time. We are currently in a synchronous web meeting right now. That means we're all participating at the same time. If you have a class that participates asynchronously, that means they're not connected. You might be coming in to view information or to watch a video or to type in a chat or a dialogue box, say at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But I might come back in and add my commentary at 3 o'clock in the morning. And there's no restrictions on when people come in or out or participate, but they're still participating together in the same environment. So that's the difference between asynchronous and synchronous, okay? We are currently sharing screens. Arvin is sharing his desktop screen or his PowerPoint screen with you right now. That screen share allows us to do a lot more. We can share other devices. I can pull up my iPad and share information from my iPad or from my telephone, and it show right into the screen. So there's a lot of ways that we can share all different kinds of information through this platform. We've definitely covered single sign-on, hopefully thoroughly enough that everybody is comfortable with that term at this point. And the last one of our words of the day is virtual background, which I'm actually showing right now. And I know that some people have expressed some concern about not being able to pull up a virtual background behind them. And a virtual background is literally just adding a picture display that Zoom's technology will feed in and replace the background. I'm actually sitting in my dining room. I'll turn my virtual background off. And this is where I actually am. I'm not sitting on a patio in front of my campus science building. So there's a lot of cool backgrounds that you can plug in. Grass, all kinds of cool things, and even video displays. So here's a virtual beach. And some of you guys have probably seen this in your other Zoom meetings as well. If you're curious to try it out, let's take a minute if you want to give it a try. Look to the bottom of your screen and you'll see the mute or unmute mic and then stop or share video. And there's a little up arrow right next to the stop or share video. And that up arrow includes a small link that says choose virtual background. I see Elsa got one. Okay. And Elaine is asking, can you arrange screens in order that you want? No, you can't arrange the video windows. The tic-tac-toe or the Hollywood Squares board is kind of randomized by when you logged into your session. However, in the upper right corner of your screen, you do have the ability to change from gallery view to speaker view. And that will allow you to rearrange on the fly. If you change the view for you, it is independent of what everybody else is seeing. So while Arvin is sharing his screen, right now, currently, my view has all of the little video windows across the top and then his main screen share at the bottom. We could also arrange it side by side, and I'm going to change it because I'm recording. I'm now in a side by side view. And you have the ability to change that in your own profile settings as well. There were some questions, some other questions, let me see. Okay, my mom says, my camera is not good and I can't do the background. And we have come across this across quite a few folks' displays. It has nothing to do with where you're located or lighting or anything like that. Typically, it is just about the drivers that are installed for the camera on your device. So your device might not be current enough to display the virtual backgrounds because it does take a little bit of processing and connecting to get that to work. If it works, it looks really cool. I see Leslie's got hers up and running. Elsa's is good to go. Let me see, did anybody else try it? Jeffrey's got his San Francisco background ready to go. And
Amy's also changing yours.
Ed is good. Elaine and Godfrey tried theirs out. Sharon is there. My mom, hers is using the space one, but hers is where the issue of the camera quality does or does not work. Hema's she's trying hers out, but because of the camera quality and also the lighting, that's also going to play into it as well. So some of you guys got a chance to see how that works. I think Marianne has a nice little beach lighthouse view on hers as well. So hopefully that gives you guys a pretty good idea of how that works. Okay, are there any questions?
Yeah, and you said we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Can OLLI Zoom be used to access Zoom outside of school?
Yes, it can. So, and that's actually the cool part. You can be invited into a meeting that has nothing to do with our campus at all, but you can sign in with your campus login or your Toro mail, and Zoom at their servers recognizes that your account is a valid Zoom account, and that's really cool.
Okay, the other question, if you forgot your password, can you access that? How do you access that? That was from Debbie Adams. I did give you that link, Anissa. I'm not sure if that's the one you wanted to share with everyone. If you and everyone want that.
Let me see.
I think that, yeah, that one.
There's a DHNet one.
IT.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'll put that in the chat. Another question, Miss Denise asked if you could, I'm not sure where she was referring to, but she asked if we could share this information in the chat with everyone.
I'm not sure which.
Let's see, the background picture. For the background picture, if we can share that information in the chat. As far as how to get your background picture, Miss Denise, is that what you're referring to?
I'll put it in here as well.
Okay.
Share
Or like how to
video, and then choose virtual background.
Ms. Strahan said mine does not have that option. Ms. Strahan, can you tell us what type of hardware you're using? You can unmute yourself. I'll unmute you.
I don't see her.
Did she leave? I don't see her either.
I don't see her name in there.
She might be gone.
Okay. So we can contact her after to make sure.
Okay. Miss Crabtree has been having problems showing her video, and she's not able to seem to resolve that issue. And I know you said with your iPhone or with your iPad, it worked with an older version. Could it be different on a Galaxy?
The controls are pretty much the same. So as long as you're locating, I'm gonna see if I can show this. If you are locating your, well, I'm not in this meeting of all things, there should be a little camera icon in the lower left corner of your device. And it'll say share video. And there's a microphone and a camera, and they're right next to each other, pretty much in the exact same space where they are here on our desktop view. And that's for all devices. Norma says on her PC, she does not have a virtual background, but on her iPad, she does. So her iPad is probably the newer technology, and that's allowing it to work, but the computer version may not, or the camera on her desktop or laptop version may not be quite up to technical par for what Zoom needs in order for the virtual background to be able to be used. The reactions on the iPad are inside of the more. I think there's a more icon on the far right side. And they're literally sitting right at the top. There's a thumb and a hand clap right at the top of the more. And I also saw there was another question. Delina asked about, can you Facebook Live from your personal meeting? Yes, you can. There are some pretty technical aspects regarding that. And it's not so much from the Zoom side as from the Facebook side, but we are actually live streaming right now to our OLLI Facebook page this entire meeting, so that anybody that was not able to physically log into this particular session but wants to watch it back on Facebook will be able to see it.
Diego asked, and you might be able to explain, I think we've talked about it originally, about sharing screen. After selecting sharing screen, window appears saying host disable participant screen sharing. Could you go over that with her again?
Sure thing. So when, right now, we have 3 hosts on this particular meeting. Myself, Arvin, and Nicole. And Hima, sorry, so we have 4. The main host right now is listed as me. I have the ability to change the share controls so that everybody can, if they want to click and share something from their desktop or from another device, they can participate and do that. In a trusted environment, it's perfectly fine and acceptable. When we have our office staff meetings, it's open for anybody to share their screens if they have presentations to make or questions where we need to show something on the screen. It's perfectly fine. Sometimes in an open public type of meeting, it would not necessarily be recommended. And so it's off by default, but I do have the ability as the host to say, okay, I'm going to grant Elsa permission to share her screen, or Howard, or whoever is participating, and then be able to return the controls when it's done, when they're done presenting. Does that answer the question? Is that okay? And then if you're providing your own meeting, you're the host, and then you're sharing whatever you prefer to share.
Arvin and Anissa, one other question. If a member is relatively new to OLLI, what is the best place for them so that they can begin using the platform? I know we've had a couple of members who just didn't know where to get started or how to get started. What would your recommendation be?
Well, in terms of what kind of thing to share, or just using the tool?
No, they don't. So they're using CSUDH. Getting their username, getting so that they can access Zoom. So they don't even know how to get their username. Would you suggest always going to the CSUDH, the link that I've given you, or to IT, or how would you recommend they go about doing that?
If it's for any account, whether it's like a reset password or you forgot your username or forgot password, it's best to give I think it's the link that was provided, but you can also call them at campus IT to be able to get that help. It's also faster if you call them up, because the people that's on the phone have access to those accounts and be able to reset the passwords right away.
Right.
And if you do not have your student ID, giving them your name and your date of birth will work. If you need your student ID, you can contact registration, who's already authorized it, or the OLLI office, and him and I will work with you in getting your student ID. But if you take a look not only at your, if you have a student ID pass that you purchased from CSUDH for $5, the student ID is listed there. If you take a look at your receipt, your student ID is listed on your receipt.
I want to make sure that we're cognizant of our time because we're coming up at the 2 o'clock mark. I'm not sure, how long was this one slated for, Nicole?
This was scheduled for an hour.
Are you guys okay to hold tight for just a few more minutes? We have some last great details to share.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
You can also do the physical one where it's in front of the camera.
There we go. Okay, so we can go to the next slide.
So, well, now we're kind of moving on to, this is what I'm talking about with social engineering and the story about my mom getting her identity replaced by someone else. And this is really all about cybersecurity. It's a new buzzword that's out there in the technology field, but I'm sure you've heard about this as well. What this really is just, as we go on to this next slide, a lot of it is just caused by human error. I mean, I've done this before where I've gotten an email from someone that I knew, and then I clicked on it, and it actually was a false email that my friend didn't even send. And so those are the kind of things that are really something that I would like to call, and this is something that I've just recently learned about, is building the human firewall. And if you don't know where that that term came from, a firewall is it's actually in a building, and structurally where fire is actually not allowed to go through or burn through because of the chemicals that's on the wall. Now the technologists have taken that and put it into security, meaning any unwanted breaches or anything like that, or any danger is protected by a firewall, which is either a physical computer or it's built in for software. And really what this is just to protect your computer or yourself to be able to get that type of harmful information or information gathering to be staved off. And so how do we prevent this kind of stuff, and how do we build our own human firewall? Here's a list of things that I use every day, and sometimes I don't get to practice this, but verify everything. Take a breath and just kind of look at it and say, hey, is that really from my friend, or is it a valid email? Don't click on attachments if you feel like, oh, this is kind of weird, you know, why is this person contacting me? If there's an attachment, just verify, take a breath and see what it is. And verify from that person who sent it. Did you really send this to me, or I didn't request this? Why are you sending that to me? And also just anything information-wise, whether it's like your social security or bank account, or even just like as a way to get to you, it's like the name of your dog. You know, those kind of informations are very personal. So keep those locked and make sure you keep those to yourselves. Don't be pressured about what's on that email or what's on the phone. Sometimes these are phone calls. They're just trying to get more information about you, personal information, not necessarily like your bank accounts or anything like that. But an example is that, what's the name of your pet, or where was your best vacation, you know, and those kind of things. And the more urgent the phone call or the email sounds, the more you have to say, hey, wait, hold on. Let me take a breath. Let me read this over once more, twice more, or 3 times more. Or even if you're on the phone saying, I didn't really want this kind of solicited phone call, you can say that. And those are the kind of things that you can build that firewall, kind of distance yourself from that kind of danger. And a lot of the email applications that we have either on our computer or on our phones actually allows you to see where the sender is coming from, or if that email is even valid. Hover over the email address in your application and it'll show you. And at the end, I'll show you a screenshot of the things that I have on my mobile device so that you can see how it looks like. You know, whether it's on a desktop application or mobile device, you can look at the information first before clicking on anything or responding to it. And so any other questions that are coming up with social engineering or just like cybersecurity in general?
No red flags. I just see red flags.
Oh, she's referring to what are the things that make it obvious that, that's
Right.
not quite right.
Elsa said she found the firewall information very useful.
Good.
So red flags, what were you saying that addresses?
Oh, no,
Your
it's
mom
not
was asking.
It's not an address. It's just learning to look for the things that make it obvious.
Yes.
Exactly. My sister sent me a link to a Trader Joe's. It says Trader Joe's has announced that it is giving away free groceries worth $150 to everyone. Hurry up, collect your free voucher here.
There you go.
And then the web address, and I know it makes a little bit more sense when you could see it, but it says HTTP www.trader.joes-us.com.
Yeah. And Anissa, I actually have, if I may, I want to stop the share here, and I'll share the ones that I just took of. I actually, while going through this PowerPoint, I got something last night, so I want to share that with you. Okay. But let me go ahead and stop this sharing here. And then let me share this one with you guys.
We have two other notices. Marianne says, my computer does not meet requirements.
I think she's referring to the video, the virtual background. Is that right, Marianne?
That was for the virtual background, and I couldn't figure out how to send chat. I figured it out, so that's why I just got it.
Cool.
And what I'm showing now is just something that that I just received, and this was just 4:02 a.m. this morning, saying that my Apple ID has been locked for some security. And as you can see, it says Apple support. And it's like, oh, it's legitimate. However, when I roll over, I'll go to the next one, and what I did was I double clicked on my where it says me.
Arvin.
It's not large enough to see.
Oh, it's not large. Okay. Is that better?
No.
I think you're sharing just the Windows file manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me share that folder.
And there was another question earlier on while he's pulling that up about sharing content. How many of you have and we can see all of your cameras right now. How many of you guys have the chat window open? Okay, so if you have the chat window open, we purposely have some options available. The chat allows us to be able to type in web links. So if I type in a web address and you click on it, it will actually open that up on your computer. That was considered a security concern when the whole pandemic first started and people were concerned about random people just dropping in and putting in links, and they were putting in links to some pretty raunchy things. However, we're in a closed environment, and they have made it where the host can decide whether or not links in the chat are available for people to click on, or whether anybody can type any links, or whether they can share files. So you'll notice that there's also a file icon in the lower right portion of your chat, and that will allow me to add in a graphic. Say I wanted to plug in a graphic logo or something like that. Here's OLLI, and here's an OLLI logo. Okay. So, oh, sorry, I sent it to Debbie privately. Oops, to do that. I didn't realize I was on hers. There it goes. Only Debbie got that one. Here it goes. So I just put in the chat a copy of the OLLI logo. And that's a way that we can share files and things like that. Now, that's not intended for you guys to necessarily have it available. But if we needed to share PDFs or Word documents or any PowerPoint files, anything specific to the presentation at that time, that would allow us to be able to do that. That's also at the discretion of the host as to whether or not they want to make that available for their attendees, or they want to protect it and make sure that somebody isn't sending a malicious file or something, a zip file that might have data corruption or something along those lines.
Okay, Anissa, two more questions regarding the chat, regarding the save option. when the meeting has ended, but if you could, before that, show everyone how they can save the chat should they choose to, or the
Sure.
host has allowed that. And the other question regarding that, to keep the links, does the individual have to download the link now, or will it automatically download on their local laptop or a computer or device?
Okay, so in order to save the chat, we do have the option turned on right now where each of you are welcome to save the chat transcript. You'll notice right next to file, there's a little button with 3 dots inside. And that more has the ability to say save chat. That save chat will store a file on your computer, most likely in your documents folder. I think it'll be called meeting.notes.txt or something along those lines. It's something really generic and pretty straightforward to locate. And inside of that text file, it's a plain text file. There are no clickable links inside, but all of the text that was used inside of it will be there. So if I typed in a web address, it won't be clickable, but you could still highlight it, copy it, and open it into your web browser and visit that link. So that is available at any time. Okay. Did that answer that question okay? So yeah, if you want to copy the chat right now, literally click the 3 dots and do save chat.
And I would recommend, because there's some good useful links there.
Mm-hmm. Elsa, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
In my iPad, the more doesn't have to, it says meeting settings, minimize meetings, virtual background, and disconnect. How do I save the chat on that? How do I save the chat?
So the save chat is in the chat window. So you have to look to the lower right corner of your chat window. I'm going to try to pull this up real quick so you can see it. Zoom protects the way that things are shared. I'm going to do this real quick.
She said to go
Guys,
here.
see this real quick?
Anissa, what we see is yes, what we're seeing is your Linda con to everyone once more, please. I didn't see it. And Anissa, yes.
I'm circling it.
Yeah. Click on those 3.
Please.
That was that button.
Can you see this right here?
If he said 3? Yeah.
Can you see our screen here? Elsa, can you see our screen here?
Yes, I see her.
Okay, so it's this little button right here.
And Lisa, I'm on my iPad and I don't have that when I'm on my chat either.
Oh, on the chat, that one is going to be, I think it's past the more, or in the more section.
Yeah, and then nothing comes up
I'm
there.
not, I don't have it logged in, so I'm not in it right now.
Deborah Strahan says mine has the word more.
Yeah.
Save them?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I go to more, it doesn't show either.
When you click on it, it says save chat. I have mine
Yeah, it does not say that. Maybe my iPad is too old. I don't know.
on the arrow or.
But are you in the chat? Can you go to the chat window and see if there's a more there as well?
Yeah, I went into the chat window and there's nothing that says more that I can find. That's
Okay.
at the very top. No.
I might need to explore that one and come back to you guys and let you know.
Okay, okay.
Linda, were you able to find the 3 dots?
Yes, it's next to file.
Yeah, see, I don't have a file either.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different from the desktop version to the iPad or tablet display. It'll be a little bit different.
Yeah, normally I use my desktop and it's right there on my desktop, but it's not on my iPad.
Right. Okay, so they do have the option available. I just have to hunt it down. I'm sorry, I don't have my iPad up and running on that one.
Well, if you could get back to me, or
Oh yeah,
that'd be the
definitely.
interesting. Okay.
Take those
Definitely.
notes down.
Okay, so now we're at 15 minutes over our time. I know that I appreciate Anissa and Arvin taking this time out. I want to let them be able to have a chance to wrap up anything if they had anything else that they wanted to say, and also give our members an opportunity to chime in, let us know. I'd like to just go around the room, but we have 39 of you. See how things are working out with you. If you do have anything that you'd like to say, either by a show of hand or raising your hand, that way we can address you. We're hoping that you're seeing the type of meetings as we're coming back into our virtual or alternative learning environment. If there are other things that you'd like to see or hear about, please let us know. Arvin and Anissa.
Out if you're not there, I have no idea.
Arvin was going to show the fraudulent emails.
Okay, Arvin is going to show.
You want me to go through that one? Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll go back to the last part of the PowerPoint right after that, and then we'll be all done.
I hope everybody is able to, is this visible to everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
If an account is.
Yeah. So it's saying it's an Apple ID account. Usually people who have Apple ID locked, something that's really, really, really important. But to me, I know my account hasn't been locked, so let me go ahead. Okay. I know for me, it's not urgent. So I kind of take a breath and say, okay, let me click on who gave this to me. And I can tap on this link here. Let me see if I can get it up. Right here where it says me. I tap on that and then all of a sudden, look at this email. That's not a valid email. It goes somewhere else. It goes God knows where. but also this allows me to say, okay, I will not click on this link, definitely. But if you long press on your device, this is what will show up. And this URL right here is not valid either because it begins with snip.ly. And so these are the kind of things, unless it's something that that you know that it's coming from a good source, yeah, don't ever click on that. And so these are the kind of things that you can do on either on your phone, on your mobile device, or also on your computer, whether you're using Google, Yahoo, or Outlook. These kind of things you can really see before you actually click on it. But again, you know, it's the urgency that they count on. It's the human emotion. So let's build up our own firewall within ourselves to be able to protect ourselves from these kind of things. And so a lot of the questions, and especially I always think back to my mom having her personal identity hijacked. It really was about a phone call that somebody asked her 3 questions, 3 personal questions. Who was your husband? Where you lived before? And what is the name of your son? With that 3 information, they were able to hijack her account. So those kind of things, like I said, protection kind of starts from us and then it goes on forward.
Right.
Arvin, before you stop, there's a question. How do you hover over email or mobile phone? What is long press?
Long press is, instead of just tapping and then releasing, it's actually leaving your finger on there. And then a little window will come up and it'll show you that information about that link. Don't ever press it like this where it's actually going to take you somewhere, but long press, meaning you keep your finger on there until that window shows up.
It'll give you all the details about where you would be taken had you actually clicked regular on it. Great question, Norma. Thank you. Arvin, can you show the last part of the slides?
Oh, sure.
Okay, thank you. And we'll be all done. Okay, next part. Here we go. So we know that some folks had some last questions. Oh, you know what? I think that is, here we go. Arvin's contact, my contact, Nicole's contact. Is there another slide after that one, Arvin?
I think that was it. Yeah.
Oh, I have one more.
Oh, okay.
It was the help desk info.
I see.
Will it let you?
Yeah, but for everybody here, that's my email account. Everyone is free to ask me questions and things like that. And a lot of the times people are asking me, are you too busy? No, not really. I mean, just ask the question and I'll be able to find the answer for you. I mean, that's the reason why I'm in technology, is to be able to find those bridges where you have a question and I have a solution for you. If I don't find a solution, at least you know.
Arvin, I'd just like to ask one more question. What is the benefit what is the benefit of using the my campus Zoom as opposed to using my own private Zoom? Why do I need to take the time to do that? Has been questions that have come to me.
A lot of the things that we've covered today as well, it's like there's added security measures that the campus has on their network. Because when you're using Zoom through the Toro Mail or the CSUDH, that's actually another layer of protection that benefits you to have that account. Those accounts are protected by our great CSUDH IT staff and their servers and their firewalls to be able to get more security on that level. Now, say for example, you're kind of like me, you're knowledgeable about what's out there, how to protect yourself, you've built your own firewall. You know, it's really a toss-up, because sometimes when I'm using something personally for me, it's more about testing rather than giving it to everybody in my family. I would rather, if you have something of a group, like here at OLLI, having that Toro Mail for everybody to have, it's a lot more security, because one, you know you're being protected by another set of firewalls on the CSU campus. Two, you know the people that you could connect with. And then three, knowing that there is that cohesiveness between all of us, we kind of protect ourselves as well. Now, say for example, you're on your own, you have yourself, your family, and your family of friends. And that kind of acts a way to protect yourself as well. But like when you're going to social media through Facebook or anything like that, there's a lot of loopholes that I've seen that can be, you know, taken from that. A lot of the times I try to protect myself from social media, whether either Instagram or Facebook. When I'm doing something like this, I try not to. And that really is the main reason why you should have the Toro Mail account, is you have a group like this in OLLI to be able to connect in that way. But now, personally, I have my own as well. During this pandemic, I contact my family. I try to make sure on my own, I try to protect ourselves that way. And it really is just all about how you use the technology, and not to leak it out to any other things that may have a loophole that somebody can exploit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that also goes with our weekly OLLI weeklies. We are making sure that those links are valid. We're not just sending out anything. I do send those links over to marketing and copy IT on them. One of the things that I know about utilizing my campus email is if there is any phishing scams, I get immediate notice about it, not to open this. And I'm glad to have that level of security. Thank you.
Okay. And just to end up, just in case, if you're unable to contact us directly, or if you have bigger picture questions that could be addressed through our campus IT, I've provided the information here. Unfortunately, yes, the in-person is not available at the time thanks to the pandemic, but their phone numbers are very operational. They are very responsive, and they will make sure that you can get the connections and things that you need. Okay.
And that's everything. Your student ID, they can help you with your Toro Mail. They're the one-stop shop. If you're not able to email Arvin, email Anissa, contact myself, contacting the IT help desk, they will be able to assist you. And they are familiar with OLLI and the program that we have here. Right. I know that we have some members who've made that call, and they might even be able to share their experience if they're on the line right now.
Exactly. And that is the end of our presentation, and we thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'm willing to put myself out there. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to do so. A lot of the projects that I have here at the college are coming to a close, meaning I've been able to get that going, and something that I've told Nicole is that I'm switching my gears to doing equipment specialist kind of stuff and more of a help desk or even knowledge base, where if you have a question, I'll try to answer it as best as I can.
Thank you, Arvin. Thank you, Anissa. We appreciate you. We're gonna hang out here a little
Thank
bit
you.
longer. If anyone has any questions as they're leaving, we are here. We're not ending it completely, but you know, thank you. End of meeting. Okay, goodbye. We'll see you all soon. Don't forget to sign up